Amtrak, Philadelphia. It was a Tuesday night in May, 238. People were on Amtrak train 188. They were heading from Philadelphia to New York City. People were reading. Some were sleeping. Some were on their phones. Nobody was scared. It felt like any other normal train ride. Then everything went wrong. The train hit a sharp curve called the Frankfurt curve. It was going 102 miles per hour. The speed limit on that curve was only 50. The driver had gotten distracted. He was listening to a radio call about another train that got hit by rocks nearby. He forgot to slow down. The train hit the curve way too fast. The cars flipped. The lights went out. Passengers flew across the cabin in complete darkness. 8 people died that night. Over 200 were hurt. When help arrived, people were crawling out of broken windows. They were calling for help in the dark. Investigators later found out the driver had no memory of even reaching that curve. He was distracted for just a few seconds. That is all it took. 8 people never made it home, all because of one radio call at the wrong moment. East Palestine, Ohio. February 3, 2023. It was just after 9 at night. A Norfolk Southern freight train with 150 cars was passing through. East Palestine, Ohio. It is a small town. Less than 5,000 people live there. Everyone was home. Kids were already in bed. The town was completely quiet. Then 50 of those cars fell off the tracks. The crash started a fire almost right away. The flames went high into the sky. Some of those cars were carrying vinyl chloride. That is a dangerous chemical. It can make people very sick. The fire kept burning for days. Officials got worried that tanks might explode, so they made a decision. They burned off the chemicals on purpose. A huge black cloud of smoke rose into the sky. People were told to leave their homes. When they were told it was safe to come back, many of them did not trust it. Then the animals started dying. Dogs, cats, fish were showing up dead in the streams. People had headaches, skin rashes, trouble breathing. And the worst part? A sensor on the train had already warned. But a problem with one of the wheels miles before the crash. The warning showed up. Someone saw it. The train kept going anyway. A whole town got poisoned because one warning was ignored. DuPont, Washington. December 18, 2017. It was a Monday morning. The Amtrak Cascades train was taking its very first trip on a brand new section of track near Tacoma, Washington. This new route was supposed to make the trip between Seattle and Portland faster. The people on that train were the first passengers to ever ride this stretch of track. They were also the last. The train came to a curve near the town of DuPont. It was going 78 miles per hour. The speed limit on that curve was only 30. The driver and conductor were talking about the new route. They were looking at landmarks they had never seen before. They missed the moment to slow down. The train flew off an overpass and crashed down onto Interstate 5 below. Cars on the highway were crushed. 3 passengers were killed. Dozens more were hurt. Train cars were left hanging off the overpass. Later, investigators found out something that made it even harder to accept. There was a safety system on that train that could have slowed it down automatically before the curve. It was already installed. It was working, but nobody had switched it on yet for this new route. One switch never flipped. 3 people died on the very first trip of a train that was supposed to be a symbol of progress. Malbone Street, Brooklyn, New York, 1918. It was rush hour in Brooklyn. The train was packed. Workers heading home after a long day. Office workers, factory workers, a Navy officer on his way to the docks. Everyone just wanted to get home. Nobody stopped to ask who was driving the train. They should have asked. The regular driver had not shown up that day. There was a workers' strike, and most of the train drivers walked off the job. So the company put someone else behind the controls. His name was Edward Luciano. He was a dispatcher, not a driver. He had barely any experience running a passenger train. He had only been doing the job for less than 1 day, and now he had hundreds of lives depending on him. The train went into a tunnel under Malbone Street. There was a sharp curve inside that tunnel. Trains were supposed to slow down to 6 miles per hour on that curve. Luciano did not slow down. The train was going 35. All 5 cars flew off the tracks and smashed into the concrete tunnel walls. The wooden cars broke apart completely. 102 people were killed. Many more were trapped in the dark tunnel, hurt and waiting for help. The company tried to hide the fact that Luciano had no real training. It did not work. This crash is still one of the deadliest in American history. It happened because the wrong person was put in charge on the worst possible day. Dutchman's Curve, Nashville, July 9, 1918. It was 7 in the morning. Nashville was already hot. Two passenger trains were both moving on the same single track outside the city. One was leaving Nashville. One was coming in. They were heading straight toward each other, and neither crew knew the other train was there. Nobody had warned them. Train number 4 was heading out of the city. It never got permission to enter the section of track called Dutchman's Curve. The signal operator had set the signal wrong. The conductor of train number 4 was supposed to check the train log at the last stop. He handed that job to someone else. It never got done. Meanwhile, train number 1 was coming in from Memphis. It was running late. It was moving fast to make up time. The two trains hit each other head on at a combined speed of over 100 miles per hour. The wooden cars crushed and folded into each other. At least 101 people were killed. Another 171 were hurt. It is still the deadliest passenger train crash in all of United States history. 3 different people could have stopped this. The signal operator, the conductor, the person who was supposed to check the log. If any one of them had done their job, those 101 people would have gone home that morning. None of them did. Minot, North Dakota, January 18, 2002. It was the middle of the night. Minot, North Dakota. It was freezing cold outside. A Canadian Pacific freight train was moving through the edge of town. It was carrying dangerous chemicals, including something called anhydrous ammonia. Most people in Minot were asleep. Nobody was watching the tracks. Then one of the rails snapped. 31 cars went off the tracks. Several of the chemical tanks tore open almost instantly. Anhydrous ammonia started leaking into the cold night air. This chemical is extremely dangerous. It can destroy a person's lungs in minutes. The gas spread low across the ground. It moved silently toward houses, toward streets, toward people sleeping in their beds. Emergency workers tried to call people and warn them. The phone lines got jammed. People opened their front doors and walked straight into poisoned air. One person died. More than 300 people had to go to the hospital. Thousands had to leave their homes in the middle of a freezing North Dakota winter night. When investigators looked into it, they found the rail that broke had been getting weaker for a long time. Inspectors had looked at it and missed the warning signs. That rail should have been replaced. Instead, train after train kept rolling over it, until one night in January it finally gave out. The town of Minot had no idea it was in danger. The inspection records should have caught it long before that night.